Right. I'm gonna move it here. How do you want to do this?
Όχι, θες να το παίξουμε freestyle.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, thank you for having us. We hope that something as dry as this can become a little more interesting. We hope to inform and entertain, just because, as you can see, law is always kind of black and white. And you've seen a lot of color today, but today you're also going to end your note with a bit of black and white EU regulation. So I'll let my colleague Ted start.
Thank you very much for being patient to listen to us this late. So I would like to introduce myself and my colleague. My colleague is Glafkos Mitsidis from Montanios and Montanios in Cyprus. And I am Ninopoulos Theodoros from Ninopoulos and Partners in Athens. So yes, today we took the opportunity to discuss this subject, this piece of legislation, the MiCA, which I believe that most of all of you crypto enthusiasts are aware of. And since also it's coming into force and its applicability in all the European member states since the 30th of December. So despite the fact that it has not actually been enacted into many member states of the European Union as a particular piece of legislation, due to the fact that it is a regulation of the European Union and by force of the Article 288 of the European Treaty, it has direct effect. So it's basically in force as we speak into this country and the rest of the European countries. And
we're living in a MiCA world, basically.
It is a MiCA world, basically, yes. And we were unfortunate not to have a legislation in Greece all this time. So it was, not safe to say it in some, good words, not safe environment. But now, some more black and white, as my colleague has already said, has arisen due to the fact that, we have a piece of legislation which is 165 pages long. So basically, it's a newborn baby and we have to, guess or try to understand how, to apply this to the real world, because the real world is, the developers and the people like you that, have these amazing ideas and you create those smart contracts and you come to the lawyers and I have this smart contract, this amazing application and, I want to make sure that no one is going to, knock my door and put me in jail. So basically, in this kind of situations, we just tell him make a lot of money and keep like 20% for your lawyer to keep you out of jail. This is, a good start, to approach, such problems. But yes, the MiCA has provided some rules regarding, the issuing of tokens and, the trading of cryptocurrencies, which is, a very hot topic, I believe the hottest topic. So we have, created this presentation for you to understand what crypto issuers, and basically exchanges and other custodians have to, the rules that they have to start following. They had to already be compliant to these rules because it's actually in force. But, it's a good start that we see now that we receive a lot of calls from, various organizations that they want to comply with the regulation. So let's begin with it.
Let's try to decipher MiCA.
Let's try to decide with MiCA.
Okay.
So if you are in Europe and you have, you're an issuer of tokens, etc., we have to show you what is actually going on before you decide to run away. So basically, as I have already told you, an EU regulation is a, legal binding piece of, document, let's say, that it is applicable. So it's basically applicable. I'm going to just go forward because of time constraints. What is the scope and application of the MiCA? So basically MiCA introduces, the uniform rules for the trading and issuing of all the crypto tokens. And it applies to crypto assets not already covered by existing EU financial regulations, and specifically the MiFID II.
So basically we've got crypto asset service providers. We have the people creating the coins, offerers, and people creating the tokens that are going to be regulated from this EU act, let's say, that is already applicable. And we have to ensure, like going through the different definitions, and we'll see now soon what other the rest of the scope, how this can affect any one of you that's involved in this space, creating projects, and what you should be aware of.
So basically, MiCA has a distinction between different crypto assets, but it basically has three main categories. But first of all, let's say what's the definition of a crypto asset in accordance with the MiCA. A crypto asset is a digital representation of value of rights, which may be transferred or stored electronically using distributed ledger technology. So basically this definition covers most of the crypto assets. Some people might ask, does this include NFTs? And okay, this is a very unclear area. It doesn't include, it might include. There are different types of NFTs. There are fragmented NFTs. There are the technology. There are smart NFTs. The technology really is developing. So it is a vague, let's say, definition of what a crypto asset actually is.
There are more guidelines coming out, though, slowly, from either the European Securities Markets Association, trying to provide some guidance to give the technical details behind this. Of course, to go through the technical details right now would be it'd be impossible to cover in such a short period, but these have been issued recently, and we're able to advise a bit better now what certain technical criteria are for depending on the asset and whether it's covered of the definitions.
So basically, there are three types of cryptocurrencies in accordance with the provisions in the MiCA. We have the asset reference tokens, sometimes called stable coins, which are pegged to multiple assets like the euro, the dollar, etc., etc. Then you have e-money tokens, which are the asset reference tokens. There are multiple assets. It could be stocks, it could be
commodities.
Commodities. It could be gold, it could be silver. So it's actually percentage of commodities. And some stable coins actually are categorized as asset reference tokens. And this is actually one of the main problems that have arisen because of the MiCA. And these provisions regarding stable coins, they have came to the force earlier since the summer. So these are like the first problems that have arisen. Then we have e-money tokens, which these are the ones have similar definition, but they are different because they are fully pegged to the euro or other fiat currencies. And then we have a category which is a general category that all the rest crypto assets like utility tokens, for instance.
I mean, you've all heard of the USDT case and how they're being essentially forced out of Europe because they're not MiCA compliant, because they're not ascribing to the certain provisions regarding their audit and certain other matters that they're not willing to comply with the criteria set down by MiCA. And I mean, this is something that has torn the community in two, because on the one hand, you want to ensure that such a huge stable coin continues to exist within Europe as well. On the other hand, you also understand the regulator's point of view that there needs to be the same playing field for all stablecoin issuers. So they need to be held to the same account as, let's say, Circle with USDC or any other MiCA compliant stablecoin.
This is the reason also why MiCA has been so heavily scrutinized by the crypto community, and because the vast majority of trading is happening with USDT.
True.
So it was, in my opinion, it was an obligation of the European Union, to adapt to the actual commercial practice and not to create its own commercial practice. But of course, behind every decision, there are also other things that are behind, and this will be, uncovered as the years pass. We'll see what will go on with the euro, the digital euro, and all the other things.
I'll play devil's advocate, the devil being the EU here in this case. But there was also a very big push in regards to consumer protection.
Of course.
So there is also that to keep in mind. I mean, we tend to demonize the EU and any kind of legislation they pass that restricts our freedoms. But at the same time, a lot of the times we're also kind of critical when they haven't protected us enough. And this was a balancing act that maybe they overstepped. But I want to credit them with, given the benefit of the doubt, personally, that there was no kind of evil, mastermind behind creating such rules to inhibit USDT.
Facts. Now, one other matter that we're going to follow with, I'm sure that you all crypto enthusiasts, before buying, a certain shitcoin, you have all managed to go, through the website of the crypto, let's say, issuer, and to see what is going on with the white paper. Where am I investing my money, or where am I, betting my money, to be more precise?
Do they have a white paper?
They have a white paper, ChatGPT, white paper, etc. So one of the main things that the European Union thought that it would be something they have to look into that would offer to the consumers, let's say, a sort of protection whatsoever, was the white paper. So what they tried to do with the white paper was, in a sort of way, to make an equivalent instrument, I would say, like the prospectus which they have for the stock market, for, let's say, initial public offerings. Yes. So basically, when you have a stock and you want to issue stocks in the stock market, you have to make a disclosure of all the risk, all the information about the company, the economy, everything. Actually, all the information that could materially affect the price of the stock has to be disclosed. Well, now we speak about cryptocurrencies, and what they're trying to do is that to create an equivalent to the prospectus for the cryptocurrencies, which is the white paper which has already existed. And here it is.
Yes, but now you have to put that there's a paragraph that says that you have to specifically state that this white paper is not an indication that the coin has already been approved by the EU or is MiCA compliant. It's just so like they're specifically telling you be careful. You might have a white paper, but it doesn't mean you have to state that, it doesn't mean that you're compliant.
It is implied that it helps investors to make informed decisions. Of course, people that they buy crypto coins, they are called investors, the consumers.
We all heard the meme coin panel before.
So it's a disclosure framework that it ensures that all information, necessary information, which could affect, the decision in buying a crypto asset, has to be fairly disclosed to the public. We have covered all these things.
Okay.
So, Glafkos, if you want to...
The reasons, the objectives of the white paper, as we mentioned, to create the sense of transparency from the issuer, to provide accessible and clear information on the token's functionality. I'm sure you read that all the time. And all associated risks. To create investor protection. Like we said before, it's not only consumer, but also investor protection. We don't want money coming out, going away from the traditional markets and being, taken away into liquidity, into the crypto markets, and then just vanishing. So you want to protect that. And of course, to create market integrity, where you promote fair competition between the token issuers, so that they're all playing on the same, playing in a level field. Now, you can each judge how well that happens, and whether that happens when you're in a decentralized environment and you're having to deal with issuing, if you're even an entity thinking about issuing in Europe, the kind of legal barriers and the costs that it causes, whereas compared to other jurisdictions. And now, promoting fair competition, I don't know. It depends. It depends how you want to see it.
So, before we start to analyze what actually has to be disclosed in the white paper and what's the procedure of its publication and all these relevant things, we have to see what is the liability if you don't disclose all this information, or if you mislead the public. What is actually happening? Apart from what could happen into a particular jurisdiction, the criminal law provisions, because if you say, let's say, a lie, at least in Greece, which is a lie amounting to an event of the present or the past, not in the future, which says, I will give you, which is a lie which is of the present or the past, and this lie causes direct damage, financial damage to someone, this is fraud. This is fraud. So apart from the fact that you could be done for fraud, and the other civil, let's say, horizontal provisions of its system.
And depending on which country you're based in as well, because there are so many legal systems, you're always having to deal with the legal system of the place where you're based, plus the EU regulation. Please.
Sorry, I just have a question about fraud. You're saying, can we then open a case against Christine Lagarde in Greece right now for all the lies she has told all the Europeans, so next time she goes to Greece, she goes straight to jail?
I'll let the Greek lawyer answer that one.
Yes, we can surely discuss opening a case against Christine Lagarde, but this has to be done privately, and then we have to, of course, inform you about our hourly rates. Now, I'm not quite sure how this will end, but we can sure initiate all the proceedings if this covers your question.
We accept USDC.
Not USDT.
Oh, it's on MiCA compliant.
We buy you in bottle.
So, waivers of liability are void. If you have waivers of liability, are ineffective. If you put them in a white paper and you say, if you buy this token and you lose
All your money?
All your money, of course, there is liability. You cannot avoid this liability. So the main focus of the white paper is that you need to have everything disclosed from A to Z and be honest. Otherwise, you might be done, and civil liability might arise, criminal liability. So what I see happening in the next years. First of all, it's going to be very expensive for all the crypto projects to survive in terms of, maintaining a correct compliance in accordance with MiCA. They will need a lot of money because it's not only the white paper. They have to also maintain all the time, and whenever something materially changes regarding the particular project, they have to go and modify the white paper. They have to consult, legal advisors that have to also work with the developers, and basically have to do this all the time. So they must have someone to pay him continuously to tell them if they're doing their job correct or not. But there are so many things inside the white paper that most of the lawyers will cover their ends, to put it, in simple words. So
let's give the basics of what's required.
Yes, let's move on. So you must have all the legal and corporate details, registered name, form, head office, etc. You have to be a legal entity, first of all. Crypto issuers have to be a legal entity. Are you legal entities?
Oh.
If
you have a legal wrapper.
What are the DAOs?
I have a question for you. Didn't the Nazis lose the war?
It depends how you evaluate that. So I'm not going to that. They lost, yes.
Really?
They got their ass kicked. So you need to provide information about the core team, governance, management, founders, and any key stakeholders. And in this particular case, you're not allowed to put, like how do you call these funny avatars?
Yeah, avatars or any pseudonyms. You're fully KYC, doxed, checked, and tick marked. So there's no escaping that.
To solve that problem.
Glafkos is the person that I will call when it comes for the KYC rules. Who's the expert on
the hospital and then to a dying patient that there is a donation, give them 100 USDT and receive their passport, proof of address.
You can always.
The founder of the protocol. So if he dies tomorrow, well, to chase someone to
Yes, you can always do all these things, and we hope that all people think like you, because if all people think like you, we will become richer and richer and richer.
Environment, yeah, we have a lot more work for
You
us.
can always do these things, but the problem is what happens next. So
don't forget that with the MiCA regulations, anything you put in the white paper, any changes that happen, you have to inform them. So your founder died, okay, who's in control?
So Bitcoin is not MiCA compatible.
Well, does Bitcoin have a single owner? I don't know. Soon maybe MicroStrategy will be the one they'll go after. I don't know.
You have to continue and say what is the purpose of the project, all the technology, the protocols. So it has to be a lot of communication between the lawyers and the developers. All things have to be crystal clear inside the white paper. Tokenomics, of course, the token supply is very important. The distribution model, the release schedule, the vesting as we all know it, and the mechanism for inflation or deflation of the tokens. And this have to be very, very well specifically defined. They have to be clear and straightforward in a language that is, comprehensible by, the public that it is directed to.
And this will be monitored too, so there can be no funny business. There's no declaring one thing and doing something different. Because then we'll get to the whole, what happens if you do something wrong.
Exactly.
There have to be a lot of resources to be able to look at. 10,000 tokens that are being issued on.
But it does.
Every day.
Yeah, but it doesn't. All it takes is one person to make a complaint.
No, I understand.
One person that has bought one token.
And there you go.
So on the one hand, we are very, because all this decentralization, it starts to becoming, very institutional, because now we have to go to the money markets authority, Επιτροπή Κεφαλαίου Αγοράς. We have to ask them about the white papers, basically. This is quite sad on the one hand. On the other hand, as legal professionals, we are happy for it because it will open more, our profession, because everyone will be in the need, for legal advice.
And it does cause a bit of arbitrage too. You can get a bit of legal arbitrage because, let's say, some jurisdictions, Cyprus, might be a bit more flexible with their SEC, and they have a whole regulatory sandbox. Not promoting Cyprus here, to discuss and see how they can facilitate projects in issuing tokens. Of course, always within the guidelines of MiCA, but let's say MiCA plus minus.
And now we come to a very, very important category of information that has to be disclosed inside the white paper. You have to disclose all the risks: technology risk, operational risk, market risks, legal and regulatory risks. So as you understand, by not disclosing all this information, like, hacks, there are things that some people that do not seek legal advice, of course, they can, omit to include them in the white paper. Mm-hmm. It's very, very, very easy to be illegal. Very easy to be illegal, and most of them now, even project with a billion market cap, they are actually illegal in Europe.
And this is an ongoing obligation. So
this is easy. The company roadmap, of course, I understand that they know what they're doing, the crypto projects. So they have to change every day their white paper because they don't know what they're doing actually. Most of the projects and the development plan. These things happen to change when the bull market starts, actually.
Use of proceeds, very important.
Yeah, to create hype. So they have to change all the things.
You better get a good auditor.
So when the bull market starts, it starts for the lawyers as well. Yes, the legal disclaimers.
That's a disclaimer.
So you must include a disclaimer. This crypto asset has not been approved by any competent authority in any member state of the EU. The offerer of the crypto asset is solely responsible for the content of this crypto asset white paper. Also, you have to include that this crypto asset may lose its value, may not always be transferable, may not be liquid. So you have to sound like Alex Becker when you actually create this white paper and not create hype for the people to buy the direct hype to buy the actual, crypto.
For disclaimer 5, number 2, may not always be transferable. Out of curiosity, how would that be possible where it can't be transferable?
You might try to sell it. You might try to sell it into an exchange. But in order to sell it in an exchange, there must be an opposite bid to buy it. So if no one buys it...
No, that's not transferable. That means it may not be liquid.
Well, let's say greed before.
Yes, transferable.
That wasn't transferable.
Maybe what you do, Solana is broken, you cannot
No, this has to be comprehended that this, you know,
If it's locked in a smart contract that doesn't allow it to be transferred, then
Now, transferable on what time frame? Because with REIT, he specifically says locked for 1 year. I just want to understand how well these laws
okay,
are thought out.
the laws are thought out, and then it's tested in practice. So a lot of what, let's say, the nuances of what, let's say, timing, or it will be actually tested in the same way that provisions of any other law are tested in any other contract, in any other scenario, where you get case law, either local, national, or European, defining or clarifying certain things, so that they create a precedent. Then again, years later, there might be different situations altering that precedent, and might change the situation because something different has happened in the crypto space. So
it's early. We don't have an answer.
we don't have that. We're lucky enough that we've got some guidelines recently. So
basically, since this piece of legislation, not piece of something else, it actually provides for the trading and the issuing of tokens. So when you have something that is being traded, it has to be transferred as well.
Correct.
So I believe that it is a vague definition, not something specific about the liquidity, that for whatever reason it cannot be passed the ownership to another person. So this is what I believe. It is a vague definition which basically covers all instances that this particular crypto asset cannot be transferred to a third party.
Yeah, the only reason I say this, even in the case of, again, congratulations that you're listening to the previous presenter, who was one of the few who's issued a token that was intentionally frozen for a duration. Even in that moment, one could argue that he could sell the private keys to his wallet to somebody else. He has now legally transferred that value to the other person. Where I'm coming from is that a lot of this is not enforceable, it's not detectable, and a lot of it is arguable. And I think it's just because it's so new, right? And I really appreciate that you're saying, yeah, this is still an exploration.
This is basically what you are saying is something that can be done even in companies, because a company can own shares of another company. So basically, you don't transfer, the share to another person. You just transfer the shares of the holding company of the holding company. This is basically one of the things. In general, it's a vague definition, which tends to cover all kinds all events where a crypto asset cannot be transferred, even if this is like frozen by an authority. Maybe it's money laundering. Maybe they ask from USDT to somehow, I don't know, freeze if it's possible to do it through the blockchain.
Or maybe they're not fans of non-liquid staking. Maybe they want.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you guys think there'll be some negative downstream effects for the EU system in the last couple of years where
Yes.
the majority of...
The answer is yes. The answer is straightforward yes, because this is a market that brings money, brings people coming, spending their money, doing business in Europe, and because of all this, excessive, I would say, 168 pages piece of legislation, they would create a lot of obstacles and impediments to, all the people that they want to do business with crypto in Europe. And they would basically tell them to get away, go elsewhere.
The counter argument,
they would block them.
Just to counter that argument is that, let's not forget, Europe is a big market of 500 and how many million people. Not necessarily. It's still a market. It's all people with money.
Italians live until 90. Italians live until 90.
And there are,
South Italy.
the EU overregulation extends to many, many areas. I think there's obviously, this kind of overregulation benefits the big boys. So big projects with the funds, the time, the resources basically to follow all the regulatory compliance, etc. Their audits, they're going to be up to date. They're going to be fine with this. They're not going to have any issue.
With whatever that means inside brackets and the big companies.
All that means is that you're centralizing. You're not allowing for further decentralization to happen. That's what they're doing. But I think they're not that concerned. Like reading the legislation, if you read it, you can see that they don't care about that much. Yet again, they've left some areas untouched. So it's kind of like, if you're a startup, go ahead and then let the big boys buy you. That's basically kind of what they're saying.
Yeah, I think the whole being more transparent, forcing like a certain level of definition or munitions is a good thing. But what you've outlined is more of a perspective, very different to a white paper or something.
But then again, think of those projects, those tokens that are MiCA compliant, and what kind of the equivalent of a blue check mark they get. They're
not accessible to the everyday consumer.
I have a proposal for you. Actually, two proposals. Why
Let's
don't
go.
we found a DAO, raise a little bit of money through a shitcoin or a meme coin,
Non-MiCA compliant.
support all the waiters that will speak the soup by a European politician in any restaurant. We give them 500 euros just to let know the European legislators that they are aided and they are really affecting people, precisely because people is going to go somewhere else. Second, what if we create some sort of partnership agreement for you to start helping sell visas to other countries? So when your clients come and say, hey, all that's good, you can answer, get a permanent resident in Singapore, go to the UAE, go to Panama, and you charge the same amount of money, but you work less. And we send a clear message to the European Union that they are not doing any consumer protection, because really, if only the big bad guys are going to be the only ones doing things, they are going to really abuse the consumer. Second, well, I don't know exactly how much is the purchasing power of the euro now, but I believe it's like half of when it was launched originally. So where is the consumer protection there? And third, I think there was a comparison on how much was the GDP of Europe against the GDP of the USA 20, 30 years ago, and how much is now. So if we send clear message to everybody, and the last one, maybe you can help us set up a guillotine factory. All the legal requirements to set up a company to build guillotines, because maybe in the near future they will be needed, and we're really preparing ourselves to sell a lot of those to cut a lot of heads.
You have burned our head. You started with the waiter and the spitting, you went to the visas, then you went to the rest of the things.
I'll take the waiter suggestion
You have hypnotized us in a...
By the way, that's the Fight Club.
We'll go home and we'll be feeling like chickens. Like, what happened to us? Who was this guy?
The truth is, we don't know how. I'm always of the perspective of wait and see. I mean, this is a very harsh piece of legislation, but we do get a bit of, when I was talking about before, kind of regulatory arbitrage. You do see variations from country to country. There are certain, like the equivalent of the SEC of Cyprus or Estonia, or there are jurisdictions that are they're not going to go against what MiCA says, but you can interpret some things in a certain way so that you're still compliant. It depends on whether the actual, the ecosystem in that country wants to attract, wants to be crypto friendly, startup friendly. I think in what will happen in the end, this is just my personal opinion, is in practice I think it will be kind of not watered down, but I mean, you know, it will be less harsh in practice. I mean, even look at the actual finance, you know, the MiFID. In practice, yes, the prospectus regulations are all there. You know, you get a lot of
And you have to bear in mind that all this time we have been analyzing the main category of crypto assets and not in money tokens and asset reference crypto, etc. So the other crypto stable coins and the rest, they have extremely more, you know, stringent and strict rules of compliance, because this is where the money is, of course.
Yeah.
So
It hurts Europe. It hurts European business. Like USDT doesn't give a shit if, you know, MiCA exists. I can guarantee you there are many Europeans holding USDT.
I have USDT.
But there's not going to be an exchange in Europe that will be able to use USDT, putting them at a disadvantage against exchanges in the US and in Asia.
The thing is that you're allowed to hold at least USDT.
Yeah.
If they would say that you cannot hold USDT in Europe, this would be a massacre. Massacre, death, you know, would be like.
Then we settle them.
Then we go for the guillotine factory.
Then we go for the waiters from Italy with the spitting.
Let's start with that. Let's start with that.
So you need to notify, you know, the relevant authority. You have to go to the equivalent SEC of its country and tell them, hey guys, I have a white paper. I want to do an ICO. So you notify them 20 days before, and then you publish the white paper. So it has to be there. You have to maintain it there.
Oh, sorry, who do we know? Like the actual
The competent authority
days?
in most countries is the actual the commission for the money market commission.
The same for the stock market.
Yeah.
So they're treating it like probably
Yeah.
Yes, the FCA for England, for instance, or the Security Exchange Commission for the United States, and the Επιτροπή Κεφαλαίου Αγοράς, which is how it's called in Greece, the police of the stock market. We have covered this, Glavkos.
Yeah.
Modification. We're going to make a lot of money. People.
Can you go back one?
And you will see all these Chinese legal firms, or not Chinese, you know, in general, you know, these scam messages that they send you for the trademarks. You have to register your trademark. Do it with $200. You will see the same thing happening with the MiCA. You will see everyone. You want to do it cheap? You are a shitcoin. I'm going to do it for $300. You can pay me USDT.
It says that the token has to be accepted for trading. The previous one,
The previous slide.
the last one, after publication, crypto assets may be admitted.
Yes.
Is there any time frame to have to be admitted or not?
No, maybe. You may not want to be admitted 20. You may want
It
to.
doesn't say have. It's not imperative.
It's not important.
But if you don't start trading, you don't have any liability. You cannot have liability for something that is not being traded. Of course, there are some exceptions from the white papers. If it is, you know, the token is addressed to less than 150 people in the country, or the, you know, the density of the money is less than 1 million. You know, there are some exceptions of it, but I'm not going to talk now about all the exceptions.
Another question. You know cooperatives.
Yeah.
Who?
If you cooperatives.
Partnerships or cooperatives? Okay.
The ones of the farmers.
Okay.
And if members of a same cooperative trade between themselves, like in the UK, that counts as trading or not? Because they are not trading with yourself inside the cooperative.
Does it have value?
Yeah, but if you exchange a potato for a tomato or a carrot,
If they are less than 150 members,
How many addresses that you will have in the blockchain? If you have more than 150, I would say that this means that you have to. if the token doesn't have any value and you give it for free, no, you don't have to put a white paper. It's excluded. If it is like a DAO with you just need the tokens for voting, you don't have to do a white paper.
But what if someone else sponsors a liquidity for its customers?
Sorry, excuse me?
So like in a decentralized context, the liquidity pools, so even the owners or the operators of the platform don't necessarily launch like a pool and someone else does it with tokens.
Where would they have gotten the tokens from? If someone...
That's an ICO that you're talking about.
Well, you can have airdrops without necessarily...
No, the airdrops, I think the airdrops are excluded.
Airdrops are
I think
exempt.
airdrops are excluded
Airdrops are
specifically.
And also,
Because they say that tokens that are created as rewards. They say it like that they are excluded.
if it's purchased,
But please, yes, have to verify that. But most likely they are excluded.
that was actually like, the basis for why a lot of the DAO came into effect, right? Because people created governance tokens that were airdropped as opposed to being purchased. And then post that, that's when the rules were created
If they don't have value,
at the time.
they are excluded. But then, what I think now, how it would apply this in accordance to the rules, if you start trading and the trading becomes more than 1 million per year, the money that you will obtain from the ICO, more than 1 million, and it's more than 150 people plus some other, test that you will apply, then you have to issue a white paper.
Does all these different things you are saying apply to governance tokens? And when I'm saying governance, sometimes you use governance tokens to govern treasuries, but sometimes you use them to govern protocols.
Do they have a value?
No.
No.
They don't apply.
According to me, holding them.
They don't apply. If they don't have value, they don't apply. And you don't obtain money, finance, etc. If you just have them, let's say, as a token that gives you a right just to vote for a particular legal entity, I'm not going to use the word DAO, then you don't have the obligation to issue a white paper. Modification, we talked about modification. Right of withdrawal. Check this out, guys. That's really important because this goes back to what you were saying. Because there are some projects that you can actually buy the tokens for a particular price and hold them because the actual trading at an exchange. You change your Ethereum and you get some shitcoin, let's say. From the time that you buy it, and I believe that Glafkos could go into that analysis, you have a right of withdrawal within 14 days. And what does this Glafkos remind you, or European Union Consumer Protection?
It's the right to basically return any product you've bought.
So it's a product.
It's a product.
So it's the same limitation period as it is to if you buy something from the internet. If you buy something from the internet, you can see in the European Union, you can see in their terms, they have the obligation to tell you that you have the right to withdraw, to return the goods. So basically it's something equivalent to what happens with consumer products.
See, so
But this has to be
that's
exercised
good. That's good. That's something for the consumer.
within 14 days and before it actually goes to trading in the exchange.
Yeah.
So there are, the moral obligations and, all these things that are legally defined, in the MiCA, how offerors and, other people, they have to act. Glafkos?
I love the disclosure of conflicts of interest. I wonder how often that happens. Yes, as you can see, I mean...
I'm not going to read them. Read them yourself.
I will read them. I will read them. So you have to act honestly, fairly, and professionally. That's up for.
Look what they have provided to crypto issuers.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Effective communication. I mean, this is something that a lot of purchasers of cryptos are always saying that the team isn't communicating with us. So there you go.
Find them. Look, Here.
Affect communication.
Establish that the communication, I was speaking with, I was realizing that I was getting information about the project, and then I realized it was not John, it was a chatbot. But this happened after like 1.5 years after I proposed to her. It can happen.
Yeah.
All these things, they have to be, disclosed in the white paper. And if it's not disclosed, well, the actual person that is, has all this damage inflicted to him, to her, has to...
The management.
Yeah, he can say that, no, they didn't disclose this, they were not fair, they didn't act honestly. Do I have a civil claim against them to recover my money? So they come to us, and we will tell them 20%, and this is how it goes. But mostly, as a moral thing, I think that we're not going to have the people that they buy the tokens. We're going to have the persons that actually do the projects, because these are the people that they are, the strong. This is how life is. These are the people with the capital, of course. And you cannot always. It's not always workable for lawyers for someone to tell them that I lost 100 euros. They come to you and yes, but you know how expensive it is to go to the court.
Recover, yeah.
You have to tell them that the possibilities are this. You have to pay this, the hourly rates or the standard fee. So you will need to pay 20,000 euros to recover 100 euros. So what are you going to do? You lost your money. So
as long as you know the physical person behind the scam.
This is very sad. This is very sad. This is something that the community, the European community, had thought about it, and they said, "How I'm going to deal with all these poor people that they lose their money? I have to make strict rules." So they made these strict rules, and they destroyed crypto.
But they told them they have to act in the best interest of the holders. So or else.
So this comes to today's presentation comes to an end. I thought that we were not very boring to you, those boring lawyers.
Yeah, we tried to engage.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for having.
Thank you for engaging.
We will be happy to come next year as well, Alex.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations on the job security, guys.
Thank you, crypto community.
Thank you so much.
But
Thank you.
in reality, there are two kinds of projects: the big institutional projects that will seek your advice, and the guys who want to do a meme coin. Come on, it's a different story.
It's all shitcoins. If it's not Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's all shitcoins.
Yeah, but a meme, they will issue it in the island. Maybe you can also at least get connected with what's happening in other places and stay relevant when this goes to hell. You will be the number one lawyers in Europe.
We say about MiCA, let's wait and see what happens in the US.
I mean, come on, guys. Now that we are between us, most of you are issuers. Come on, we know why people they issue, tokens. We are here. The only person that is 100% profitable from this thing are the issuers. And in order for them to be profitable,
the lawyer.
someone else has to lose his money, her money, its money, whatever. So this is how it is. So this is why we're talking now. Always, this is what we say, and with Glafkos, always keep the 20% for the criminal lawyer.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.